What's up, you guys? Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Monday Update.
Megan and I are giving you guys all the latest that happened this weekend. Megan, what's the juice this weekend?
Well, we're not deep into men's season, but it's definitely men's season. There's not really a whole lot else going on, so we can really hone in on what's happening in the men's game. And a lot went down this weekend. It's only the second week of regular play, full-out play. And I have to say the biggest news for me is just Ohio State continues to be dominant.
Right. They swept Stanford. That extends their winning streak now to 28 matches in a row. Really impressive for them.
Yeah, and of course 28 matches in a row if we're not counting that exhibition match that they played against McMaster, but they obviously are.
Yeah, exhibition, are we really counting that? For their sake, for the impressive 28 win, we'll knock that one off.
Right. And Miles Johnson, Nicholas Sturgeon, both just really, really impressive for Ohio State. I think those two guys are really the key to Ohio State's dominance so far. Some big milestones for them. Miles Johnson had his 1,000th career kill in one of the Stanford matches.
Only the 15th player in Ohio State history to do that. So he's making his way with lots of time left to keep climbing that ladder.
Yeah, and then Sturgeon had 6 aces in one of those Stanford matches, which is very impressive. I feel like especially the serving game in men's volleyball, it's kind of all over the place. You know, there's a lot of missed serves, and usually the ace to misses ratio is not very good. So for him to have 6 aces, it's a really solid performance.
And that was half of their team's 12. So he really had a great serving match for sure.
Definitely. And I have to think, like, who's going to beat the Buckeyes this year? I really am not sure there's anyone performing right now at a level where they can really challenge them. I think some big matches coming up for Ohio State are probably going to be, they play Long Beach State later this month, although Long Beach had a rough weekend this weekend. I think they're a good team, so if they're having a good night, they could be a good challenge. And then Lewis and Loyola both had good opening weekends, and they played them in February, so those are going to be a couple matches that are going to be good.
Really early, I think. I mean, especially all these other teams, they see what Ohio State's doing, and there's time to watch a lot of film, see what they're doing, and be able to stop them. So can anyone beat the Buckeyes? Too early to say, but I think people definitely have them on their radar.
Yeah, and they have a huge target on their back, so I'm not ready to say undefeated season, but they definitely look good.
Yeah, if anybody's going to do it, they have the strong favorite right now, for sure.
All right, so we had some pretty big upsets this week as well. We had USC beating Long Beach State in 4 sets.
Right, and we didn't even have USC ranked previously, so this was a huge win for them. And we have to give it up to Lucas Yoder, who had an amazing performance that night with 28 kills.
Yeah, and hitting 404, which is very impressive to get as many sets as he got, keep that percentage up, added 6 digs to the scoreline, so he really had a great night. He's our FloVolleyball Player of the Week, so shout out to Lucas.
Congrats. And as a team, USC hit 358 to Long Beach State's 265, so really just dominated them on the offensive front.
And they did better on the defensive front, too. They had 41 digs. Long Beach State only had 25. So maybe Long Beach State just had a bad night. Hard to know, but maybe USC is better than we thought they were.
Yeah, definitely. Well, then they come out after they beat Long Beach State, then they lose to Cal State at University of Northridge. So we got to keep that, a great performance on the first one, maybe not as well on the second.
Right, and I kind of am having a hard time wrapping my brain around all it is men's volleyball right now because stuff like that keeps happening. We had some other upsets this week. We had Lewis beating Pepperdine in 4 sets. Lewis, definitely not a slouch team. They're ranked in the top 10, but I definitely expected Pepperdine to bring a little more heat. They beat Loyola in this trip to Illinois, but Lewis got the better of them.
Right, definitely. And then, another story, we had Ball State with a great weekend. They beat Penn State and St. Francis.
Mm-hmm. Two pretty good EVA teams, ranked in the top part of that conference, so it'll be interesting to see once Ball State gets into that MEVA season if they have the same amount of success or maybe just the EVA's not that strong this year. It's hard to know, but they have this 6'8" freshman hitting outside, Matt Suze, and he had 16 kills versus St. Francis, 14 versus Penn State. He's really leading this team as just a freshman, and I love this quote from their coach. He says, Suze is not the typical freshman, and he talked about his maturity level is just on a totally different scale from what they're used to seeing in freshmen, so I'm excited to see him play some more this year.
Yeah, also, we always talk about it, freshmen just have that fearless mentality. They don't know what they don't know, and he is going out and just playing fearless. You can see it in the numbers and just watching him as a player.
Yeah, for sure. and I caught a little bit of the UCLA UC Irvine game this week. And that was interesting. UCLA swept it in 3. UC Irvine didn't look too solid, but we didn't see much of their star player, Tamir Hershko. So he was injured for a significant portion of last year, and that really hurt UC Irvine's performance. But
is this a shoulder injury?
I'm not sure exactly what the injury is, but word on the street was he was healed up, he was good to go, but then he didn't start the UCLA match, which makes no sense. You know, you're playing the number 2 team in the country, you're going to start your strongest lineup. And he wasn't out there. He actually only played one of the 3 sets the whole night, and I wonder if it's an injury situation or if, like, it's a team rules breaking situation, like he just wasn't allowed to start. But when he did play, he played pretty solidly. He got 4 kills, I think, on like 7 attempts, but it's not good for them if he's not going to be out there.
Right, maybe just keeping him on reserve right now. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the next few weeks, definitely. So we have some big matches coming up this week. Let's talk about those a little bit. We have Pepperdine versus Stanford on Friday, and then on Saturday we have Loyola and George Mason, playing, and then Long Beach State will play Hawaii. So another big one for them right out of the gates, and then that's on Friday. They play Wednesday this week, and then on Friday, and then UCI plays Hawaii. So Hawaii's got a big weekend ahead of them.
Yeah, Hawaii coming to California to play a couple of days. Long Beach State will be big. As we said, they're a good, solid team, but they had a rough loss to USC. It'll be tough for them to rebound against a good team like Hawaii, but we'll have to see what happens. And UC Irvine, kind of the same deal, lost a tough game to UCLA, and now they've got Hawaii on their schedule.
Yep, just keep it coming, men's volleyball. And then we're also really excited. I'm heading on Friday to Cleveland for the JVA Rock and Rumble, which is the first of one of 6 events we'll be streaming for the JVA. So we'll get to put our foot in the club volleyball scene, kind of watch some top recruits coming up. One of the highlights was our high school player of the year, Paige Hammond, who's going to Florida. I'm really excited. I got to see her back at the Durango Fall Classic now, see her after a few months getting into club ball. We'll see her with a lot of other top commits going. So that'll be streaming on Saturday and Sunday on FloVolleyball.tv.
Katie's so pumped to go to Cleveland, you guys.
Yeah. Cleveland, here I come.
We will check in with you next Monday and let you know how that all went.
Yeah. See you guys later.